I
what you
jump in on
need.
that. I'm sorry. I'm in a roll.
Yeah.
I'm going to shut up after this.
No.
Anytime I hear somebody say, I don't have time, I simply ask you to replace that with, it's not a priority, and see how that sounds. See how that
exactly
fits with you or your children or your grandchildren or your spouse. Every time I hear, I don't have time, replace it with, it's not my priority, because that's really what it is.
Yep, absolutely.
Dude,
and it doesn't make any sense. Rick's life-saving measures, just your overall health, it's all encompassing. It doesn't make any sense. You are not placing it in the front of your brain that you need to stay fit for everybody and everything in your life. It makes it all better. It makes it longer and more productive. So I'm sorry, Rick, go ahead, buddy.
Your earlier point though, and you may have an opportunity, I'm sorry, to your point, Kelly, I think it was you that made the point that says, God forbid something happens to my family. Well, or whoever you said it, I know as an EMT, I've been a first responder on motorcycle accident. A lady fell down up the street from me and cracked her head open. She was probably 80. And there were two people that got to her before me. And I said, look, I'm an EMT. This is what you do when you're an EMT. You learn how to handle a situation. And you say, look, I'm an EMT. Do either of you have more training than me? And they both went, no. They were glad. So I helped the lady until the medics got there. And I've done this a number of times in my life, and it's good to be useful. And I recommend people go take an EMT course, and so you'll have the confidence, to help people. I mean, I've actually gone to a scene. There was a guy, I came upon a scene, and the guy, this older gentleman was on the ground at a bus stop in downtown Santa Monica, and his legs were on the sidewalk and his head was in the street, and he was bleeding and he was unconscious. And it was noon and he smelled like booze. And there was already 12 people. Like it was at a bus stop like this, and he's blood. And some guy, and I go, I'm an EMT. Does anybody here have more training than me? I'm hoping somebody goes, yeah, I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor. Nobody, right? And so there's not much you can do, by the way. And it's somebody from the peanut gallery says, well, he's in the street, move him out of the street. I go, what if he broke his neck? I'm not going to move this guy. You think I want to be responsible for moving a guy with a broken neck and paralyzing him? No. So just doing nothing is often the best thing you can do, but making sure nobody does something silly.
Yeah.
And then a minute later, and I'm like, he was awake. He came around, and I took my backpack. I took a t-shirt out, and I was compressing. I was talking to him, so I knew he was like this. He didn't break his neck, and but I was compressing the wound on his head, and a guy comes up and he's like leaning on me. I'm like, who the fuck is leaning on me, right? And a guy, and I'm like, yeah, and he goes, I'm a doctor. I'm like, great. He goes, you're doing everything you need to do. Just hang on.
Carry on.
Carry on. And I went, all right. So that made me feel good. Yeah. But no, it's good to be useful, Yes. So that's a great point. And I just want to add to that. It's a good thing to be, you've heard the expression, or maybe you haven't, but there's a very well-known powerlifter, very, very strong man out there. And he termed, I believe he termed coined this term. He says, stronger people are more useful in general. Argue that. Yeah. You can. Yeah. I like it.
No. I'm sorry, Rick. You had a point earlier?
No, I mean, Pete just brings up great points, right? When we talk about this whole, time, and it's a priority, right? It should be part of your daily regimen. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't have that. They don't have that accountability in their life to go, hey, man, I've got to get my workout in today. I have to. They just, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't. Right. But I just had, Pete, just one quick question for you. If you want to say traditional gym or home gym, what's your preference? Or where do you drive your
Yeah, no, that's a good question because I've had people say to me, I got this home gym. I mean, I have the wherewithal to build something but I've also been going to this gym. I go, look, what makes you feel cool, man? You know, what, because I can say, I'll speak for myself. I love a destination. It's really important to me. That's my tribe. I'm not going to get my tribe. And one of my best friends has got a 2-car garage. It's a damn good home gym, and he stays very fit. He hasn't been, and we're the same age, and he hasn't been a member of a tradition. He played college football too, and he hasn't been a member of a traditional gym in, I don't know, 30 years. And that's his thing. And he puts a flat screen in there and he watches sports or ESPN or something. I would not be happy there. But there you go. I say, go, if you have the resources and the space and everything to do a home gym, it can be absolutely fantastic. I think the only way that could work for me is if I had like a crew of guys to come over, but my crew of guys wants to be at my gym. So, but I do know people, and I do have people reach out to me and they go, look, man, I live in this small town in Mississippi and the gym is awful and there's not much. And I'm just going to build a home gym. I'm like, all right, you're living there, so do that. And that's going to make you feel good. But it's very important. The psychological aspect of all this is so incredibly important. And let me add just one more, personal note is like, I've had people say to me, it's a little bit of a griping, sometimes it's people that are unfit and they're like, well, it's easy for you, Pete, because, you grew up in a culture of strength training that was associated to the sports that you played with. True. Is that why I go to the gym? Probably in part. I would say 10%. But 90% of the reason I go to the gym, let me divide up to 90%. I would say, 25%, might be some vanity. And I want to look good, and I want to look good in a t-shirt. Mm-hmm. But I would say the overwhelming factor that drives me daily to go to the gym is my mental health. I've suffered from depression and anxiety so long that it wasn't until I was in therapy that I was able to, because like, what does an 11-year-old know about anxiety? Today, I think an 11-year-old would know a lot more than, I was 11 in 1973. It wasn't like a thing. But it is now. And only because, sometimes people say statistics are difficult to tether apart. Sometimes people say like, well, look at all the people that have this disease now when 80 years ago, they didn't have the disease. But if we didn't know it was a disease 80 years ago, that can't be zero. We just didn't have a name for it back then, So I think anxiety's been around a long time, but it didn't have a name like it has a name now. And then to put a finer point on it, I've suffered from, a little bit more specifically, not exclusively, but social anxiety. So being in a social setting, which to people that don't have it is nuts, but yeah, it is nuts. You're like, you walk into a restaurant and you feel like you want to leave. That's not a good feeling. And I experienced that all the way through my NFL years. Did it have an impact on my career? You're damn right it did, because I wasn't getting any help and I didn't know. But over the years, I got into therapy. It was afterwards. And I learned, and I've begun to learn these things. And the more I learned about anxiety and depression, because I'm a natural student. So if you tell me like what's that word? I got to look it up in 2 seconds. I got to know right away. I got to know every word. I have to know everything. And that's just the way I'm built. And then I said, and then I started reading like how many people out there, regular folks, we're all regular folks, suffer from anxiety and depression, how common it is. And then what's happening in the world is certainly an external factor that might, ramp up that anxiety and depression. The last, since COVID, really, it's been a different world. And
yeah,
I think you'd be in denial to not. I don't think being in denial does you any good. So rather to acknowledge it and then say, okay, that's probably stressing me out. I know it's been a factor in my life, a negative factor. And so,
Yeah.
okay, so let me just be alert to that. I'm a grown ass man, and let me, try. So here's so here's what I do. Here's my go-to, it's exercise. And it's going, in my case, it's going to a gym because it forces me to be around people. If somebody, by the way, if somebody does have a situational or a societal anxiety, a social anxiety, well, I learned this straight from my psychiatrist. And he said, Pete, you know what the solution is to do it. It's called exposure therapy. So exposing yourself to that. And I'm like, yeah, but it sucks. I'm telling you, I don't like it. Right. And I'm telling you, I'm going to see you in a week and I want you to go to 3 restaurants. And I'm a grown ass fucking man. And yet it worked. Right. And so now the hardest thing is just getting in the car. But once I'm in the car and I'm on my way and then I get there, I'm not only working my muscles, I'm just riffing here a little bit, but I'm in therapy, I guess. I just know there's a lot of people out there that there's a lot of reasons why somebody doesn't go to the gym or build their home gym or built the home gym and doesn't use it, which is really pitiful. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that, but certainly something that should be thought about. And I'm not here to counsel people, but I'm here to express that I'm aware and sympathetic, I believe, and compassionate to those that suffer with anxiety and depression, because it's a thing. It's a real thing. And I know it firsthand.
Yeah. This is one of the reasons why we were super excited to have you on the show is, you said something, you're the all-time student. And I think that has a lot to do with that mindset of being 1% better every day. And I'm sure you're still doing it, even though you've been exercising as long as you can. The delivery of your instruction to your the folks who come to you for help, how can I do that better? And how can I deliver that message? How can I tweak things? And I think that's a huge, huge piece. So good on you for that. Cause I know you went to a lot of schooling after you left the NFL to be able to do this business. And I think you did some acting stuff and all that up to become an actor. So I think everybody who watches our show and see that you're wearing the Swede t-shirt, how did you get that gig in Heartbreak Ridge, which I think that is probably in one of my top 3 movies of all time, entertainment wise, for sure. And I think the Swede is right behind Gunny Highway as far as the iconic characters in that movie, just that scene interaction. How did you get that gig?
Yeah, those are very kind words, and thank you. And there's a special place in my heart ever since. I'm telling the story a bit in reverse, but just a very, very recent anecdote of how Swede is factored into my life. Here it is 38 years later let me shelve that story for a second and say that I was cast in the movie Heartbreak Ridge the old-fashioned way, in that I had wedged myself into the business as somebody that wanted to be an actor and to create a career. I did it not like I was pining away for it at all in my high school or college years, but I had a friend that was about 10 years older than me, very much from a guy from my high school years. And I grew up on Long Island, New York, and my football and basketball and baseball as a 3-sport guy were very important to me. And I had an excellent football head coach on the varsity who says, Pete, you have all these, athletic gifts, and you've got a great mindset for football, but I'm 6'6" at the time, and I'm 163 pounds. And he goes, you add some muscle and it'd be formidable, And we had a beat up half-ass weight room in the basement of my high school. And once I got a few bucks in the NFL, I actually sent him some money and I said, do something with this deal. And And but I really wanted more. And I was reading all of the muscle magazines, and I found a local gym, bodybuilding gym, and it really was a perfect old school converted supermarket into a bodybuilding gym. And I joined there and got around the older guys, the bigger guys, and I was just soaking it all in. And I was reading all the magazines, and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Dave Draper and Frank Zane and Franco Columbo, all my favorite bodybuilders, and Lou Ferrigno, and I loved it. And then my buddy Perry, that's where I met this guy Perry. And when I first met him, he says, "Listen, I know I'm here. I'm working out at the gym." And I said, "What do you do?" He's like 10 years older than me. And he goes, "Well, I own a small business in New York City, but I'm an actor. Pete, I'm an actor." I remember how passionate he was. He was a successful independent businessman, but he says, "I'm an actor." Fast forward to I play 4 years in college at Maryland and go to the NFL, and we stay in touch. And he moves to Hollywood. He gave up his little small business, and he goes, "I could do any job anywhere, but I want to be in Hollywood." And he said, "Come visit me, hang out with me." Because I didn't know, when you play in the NFL, as you know, you get an off season that's pretty long. We didn't even have the same number of off season workouts that they have. They have more so now, but not so many back then at all. And you had 6 months to yourself. And he says to me, and he was a trainer too. And he says, "Bro, I need a roommate. Come out here, live with me. We'll work out together. I already know some people out here. And by the way, bro, you should get into this acting business. I know everything about it." And I'm like, "Really?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"I'm telling you, can we all relate? I hope you can relate to at least one person in your life." And Perry was my guy, because I didn't get it from my father. And Perry said, and it wasn't football. Perry didn't know shit about football, but he said, and I was playing for the Kansas City Chiefs at the time. And and this was the off season. But he says to me, "You can make it. You can do this." I was like, he's like, "Think of all the cool actors there are out there. Isn't it cool?" "It's cool, man. I'm telling you. You can do it. I've done a few commercials." And he got me excited about it. And then from there, I got an agent, and I booked a few commercials pretty quickly. And my buddy Perry would help me with the auditions, and I had this thing going. So that was a rhythm that I created. And then my second NFL offseason, I got with this agent, and he says, "I got this audition for you, but it's kind of secretive. But the studios could be like this at times. You're going to drive over to Warner Brothers studio in Burbank, and it's tomorrow. And by the way, they sent over the sides. The sides is a portion of a script in which you want to learn those lines. It's typically, the sides can be 2 pages, and it could be 6 pages, typically 2 to 6 pages. So there was like 5 pages of here." And he goes, "Learn this scene, and then you're going to go over." And I had really very little training. I was mostly I did a few commercials, and I drive over there, and you got to get a pass, and everything is secured. And it goes, and go to that room. And I walked in the casting office, and it was a big lobby, and there was 120 guys that looked like me. I mean, everything from 6'3" and this wide to 6'10", and I saw bodybuilders, and I saw pro wrestlers that I'd seen on TV, and I'm like, "Wow, what in the world?" And what is this project? What could this project be? I knew that the character's name was Swede, and the script read, "Swede enters the Quonset hut, 6'7", 290 pounds." Well, I'm 6'6", 285 at that moment. That was good. So that felt good. And I auditioned. And a week later, they asked me to come back again and audition again. And it was we call that a callback. And they put it on videotape. And the casting director said, "Thank you for coming in. They had narrowed it down to about 12 guys at that point. And they said, "We're going to send all the videotape to Clint, and he's going to decide, but you've done a nice job. Thank you." And off I went. I thought, well, I gave it my best shot. And then 3 days later, I got a phone call. My agent says, "Oh my God, I can't believe this. You did it. You booked this thing. And it's a Clint Eastwood movie." I'm sorry. She had tipped her hand that it was a Clint Eastwood movie in the callback. which was,
Mhm.
I'm glad she said it after I read, because it would have made me nervous. Because I
Yeah,
just thought I was reading for a Warner Brothers movie, which is cool anyway. But
that's a great story. What was your line that you had to say in the callback?
well, it was 2 scenes, but really what they wanted me to say, enter, and I'm going to rip your head off and shit down your neck. And they were like, "Oh, that was nice. Could you try that?" But this is such an
Uh,
actor thing. But this is how the casting process works. They said, "Could you try that again? Just a little different. Just do something. Give us something a little different."
right.
But that's the art. Like, people say, "What do you mean? What do you mean actors are artists?" Like, I think painting is art, and I think music is art. I see it, but what is that? And I'm like, no. But then you say, "I'm going to rip your head off and shit down your neck," and so I bring something way different than the first, right? And I think that's what got me the job. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3 weeks later, I was down in Camp Pendleton in Oceanside, California. That they brought me in and gave me a crew cut a week ahead, so that I'd get rid of the tan lines and fitted me for wardrobe. And then and I just kept working out like crazy. I got outside, got a little tan, and was very excited to get down. And because I didn't, I don't come into the movie until halfway through, and they didn't shoot the movie in sequence perfectly, but largely. So they had been shooting. It turns out by the time I got down there, they had been working on this movie for about a month. And so everybody knew each other. So I was kind of the new guy, but they asked me to get down there a day early, and then they had a PA, a production assistant, drive me over to the location on the base there, Camp Pendleton, and I could see them shooting. And Clint was also directing, and I could see him like, holy shit, here I am. There's Clint, and there's these guys.
Yeah.
And they took a little break in the action. They were maybe 100 feet away, and Clint by himself came walking straight to me, and I'm like, is he walking towards me? I'm just standing here like in my street clothes, and I'm going to start shooting the next day. And he came straight over and said, "Hey, Pete, it's good to see you. And we're glad to have you part of this production. You're going to be a perfect Swede." And I'm like, fuck, that's leadership. That's
That's
leadership.
awesome.
That's how because I'm so nervous, I'm like shaking. And he knew I was a young actor too. But that's how you break the ice. I mean, that's, and that's a story that I've taken with me in terms of Clint Eastwood. I don't know. I guess movie stars come in all different types. You've heard about the ones that show up and say their lines and then go home.
Right.
But Clint was so involved, and he's got true leadership skills, and that was evident to me because I worked from that point. I worked on the film for 5 weeks.
Wow. Well, buddy, I tell you what, I've really enjoyed you being on the show, and Rick and I were super excited about it. When I told him, I said, "Hey, Pete it back to me. It was great." And that scene with you and Clint Eastwood, is burned into my brain. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So it was great meeting you. But the stuff that you're doing now, and the content that you're putting out, it's really close to what we do, except us being military and law enforcement guys and working with those folks. Hearing the same challenges that you have with convincing them that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, just come and spend some time with us and that kind of stuff. It was very insightful. But I know Rick's going to ask you some stuff before you leave, but really appreciate it and keep up the great work. I know the message that you're giving seems very simple, but if it wasn't those simple things that people are struggling with, it wouldn't be brought up all the time. And you're doing a great job, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It's been my pleasure to speak with you both.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Pete, appreciate it, brother. So, couple questions. One, if somebody's looking to get that Swede T-shirt, where would they get one of those at?
Yeah.
I sell a T-shirt that's a little bit different than this one, but it's cool, and you can find it. I have a linked tree account. I don't pay much attention to it. It's sort of automated. But if you find me but you'd have to find me on my website, PeteKoch.com, and also on Instagram. And if you just dig around there, you can find apparel. I think there's a hat. I can autograph a picture. All that stuff's available.
Okay. We'll
peacock.com,
put
yeah, and I'm sorry, Instagram.
Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes so people
your
can click
website,
on
man.
it. Yeah. 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 So if people want to, get a hold of you, I know you mentioned the social media. Is LinkedIn a good spot to go? I know we had that link up. That's a good spot just to go ahead and send you a message or an email.
Yeah, it sure is.
Okay.
You can just DM me there. It's easiest, and whether you follow me or not, you can find me, Pete Koch, on the first name. I think that comes up. LinkedIn has been great, and I love that
Yeah.
LinkedIn community. It was actually a bit of an afterthought after I started posting on Instagram and Facebook, and I thought that's where all the action was all those years ago. But by far, the action for me and the relationships and some of the outstanding. I think just that community on LinkedIn. I really value it.
Same
Yeah.
here. Because I've already lost a page on Instagram. I mean, Instagram's got too much manipulation, right? Where I think LinkedIn's a lot cleaner. You get to know people versus having some crazy name. It's like you actually see their name versus some handle. Yeah. So,
hey, I also say, generally speaking, the people on LinkedIn have a job. Okay,
Generally,
but
at least they're looking. You know what I mean?
networking.
Awesome.
No, but there's a lot of like prior operators and military and folks like yourself, law enforcement, and one last thought about the blessing of being cast as Swede in Heartbreak Ridge. I had no idea that it would. I just thought the movie would come and go, and that's what had happened without much fanfare. But that was before social media. But it was years later when social media, it actually caught up to me. I didn't have much to do with it, but I started getting people early on, like a decade ago, saying, "Hold it, are you the same guy that's in Heartbreak Ridge? Are you the Swede?" And then I, bit by bit, over the years, began to realize how many not prior or current Marines, U.S. Marines, military in general, law enforcement, firefighters, all those folks had many of those folks had enjoyed Heartbreak Ridge and related to the character of Swede, and it just opened up a world there. But it's rather tightly focused around those groups I just met, and I couldn't be any more proud. And I couldn't pick a better group of people to be associated with. I never served myself. My dad was a New York City cop and retired as a detective after 20 years. So I have some of that in my, and he was a World War II veteran and he fought in Europe. So I didn't do that stuff myself, but that association, it pleases me to no end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super
I bet
job,
your money's no good at a Marine Corps bar. You know what I mean? I bet you get everybody know who you are there.
Well, I mean, 6 years ago, the most of the parts of the stuff in the Quonset huts that was shot in Heartbreak Ridge, it was supposed to be Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Everybody who's ever been a Marine, knew right away that we used Camp Pendleton in Oceanside, California, as a double. At the beginning of the movie, it says Camp Lejeune, but we didn't do anything there. It was all for budget reasons. It was all shot there at Camp Pendleton, and specifically the Quonset huts that we shot in are in a section of that massive base. It's called Camp Talega. Camp Talega. You can Google that, and it comes up. And one of the things that'll probably pop up is that it's it's like a historical landmark. So 6 years ago, the colonel that runs Camp Talega, they sort of rotate them out about every 3 years, that rotate this section of Pendleton. He invited me to come down and see the place. I hadn't seen it in 30 years. And it's the same. It's the same. I go, how can this place be the same? Didn't it get an update? And he goes, We didn't get shit around here. They just were like, but it does have a wall there's like an auditorium, and there's a wall that is got a bunch of Heartbreak Ridge related stuff and a picture of me. And
that's awesome.
They asked me to sign that. So
that's great.
I made a bunch of pictures. Yeah, I should post those again. It's good fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those are awesome.
And then Pete, after the show, did you stay in contact with Clint Eastwood?
It was about impossible, and I wasn't very good at that. And again, even before social media and whatnot. So the answer is no. Although I've run into him twice, inadvertently, since then. But the last time was 20 years ago. It's quite a long time ago. And some years ago, I had another audition on the Warner Brothers lot. Clint has his own production company, production offices. It's very, very well known. He's all these, including Heartbreak Ridge, he's produced his own films, the ones that he directs and stars in, under his production company called Mal Paso, which is a cool name. It's like bad place. And so Mal Paso Productions is one of the coolest, just one level, very, very cool offices, just a rather small building on the Warner Brothers lot. And some years ago, I was walking past there because I'd been in there a couple of times, and I walked in, and it was just like one person there, this woman, and she's like, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, it was 15 years ago, and I'm like, I don't know. I just thought Clint might be around. And she's like, nah, he's not. He's on a movie right now. And I'm like,
yeah,
but she was super cool. She's like, you know him? Like, why, to help you. And I'm like, I was an actor in one of his movies. She goes, great. This woman was 30 years younger than me, and a very young woman. And I was like, I was sweet in Heartbreak Ridge. She goes, hey, that's cool. You want to leave him a message? She's like giving me a pencil and paper, but I don't think that was the best way to proceed. But anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Pete. Well, thanks for spending. I know we went long. I know you're a busy guy, man, out there crushing it. So really appreciate you swinging by, and we'd love to have you back.
Sure.
If you have anything you want to push out too, but we'd love to have you back on the show. It was a lot of fun.
Nah. If I can help people out from the standpoint of physical fitness and health, I'm glad to do that. I appreciate the messaging. I realize, after getting to know you two a little bit, that we are very much on the same sheet of music. The personal accountability, personal responsibility, which is sadly going away, but it's not dead. And I think between the three of us, if we can put a little dent in this thing. Because at the end of the day, it improves people's lives. Again, not to be redundant, but people think, oh, Pete, it's easy for you. You go to the gym because you were an athlete. You know everything about lifting weights already. And it's like, whatever. And I'm like, actually, I go for my mental health. Do you ever have any mental health? Have you ever thought about your status in terms of maybe you're a little bit depressed? You might call it being blue or not feeling very well. That's fine. Or maybe you feel some anxiety where you feel uncomfortable about yourself or about a situation, or you lack confidence and you don't feel like yourself. Well, I could identify with all of those things. And I firmly believe, and it's not just me, it's not just my opinion, but the data suggests that better than pharmaceutical help, better than verbal counseling, the best thing you can do is exercise. Those other two things, have a place, but every counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist worth his salt he or she will tell you that you need to exercise daily. Those of us that suffer with these conditions, it's like the oxygen that we need to survive. So if you're not getting it, it's I can help you.
Yeah. Well, good luck, buddy. Keep up the good work. And like I said, I hope to see you again on the show, and let us know if we can ever do anything for you too, pal.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Pete, appreciate it. Appreciate you opening up about the mental health stuff. That's super important as well. And keep crushing it, brother. Be an inspiration for those out there. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah.
Bye now.
We'll see you.
Thanks a lot, Pete.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. It's good fun.
Yeah. All right.
Let me know when you try it. I'll look for it.
We'll do.
You're, okay.
All right, buddy.
I know.
See you, pal. All right, buddy. Thanks, Rick. That was great, buddy.
Dude.
That was a great show.
What an episode. Holy crap.
That was so much fun.
Man. Definitely,
what a good dude.
Definitely a great show. It's always great. You know, it's one thing to see people, if you want to say on the socials and stuff, but man, actually having a physical conversation, huge. So,
yeah. What I liked about it is, and we'll do our outros and stuff. And this is probably mostly going to be for the crew members. What I liked about it, it's been a while. I know Jack Carr's episode was like that. I know Clint Hooven, some of his stuff, but just having a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, Stephen Hunter, just having a conversation. And dude, he's got, his message is so simple and so on point. It really inspires me to continue to refine that. And he gave me a lot of insight too. I know you asked some of the things about the accountability, and he tuned in on that as well. Man, he got a little passionate there. He's like, dude, every time someone says that, it's just not a priority.
Yeah.
And it's so refreshing to hear that, because we have that conversation every week. Dude, every week we have that conversation.
Dude, I'm going to steal something, you know, so it's always, you get something from the guest, right?
Oh, for sure.
And his saying, you know, it's not a priority. Dude, huge, right? Cool.
Huge.
You don't want to work out? It's not a priority to you, right? Your longevity, not a priority. Your family,
yeah, don't tell me you care about your kids. Don't tell me that.
Nope.
You're 80 pounds overweight and you got 7 kids. Don't tell me that. It's not a priority for you.
Nope.
Yeah.
What a powerful, you know, I think that needs to be the name of his episode. You know, it's not a priority.
Yeah, make it a priority, something like that. Yeah.
Or make it a priority, right?
Yeah, man.
You know, I think that's it. Make it a priority.
Yeah.
But dude, what a powerful statement. And dude, super intelligent, man. I mean, what?
Oh, dude.
Just knows the nuts and bolts. Hey, what's going on between playing in the NFL, you know, acting. I mean, just what a super diverse, you know, career he's had, and then still continuing, right? 62 years old, still getting after it. So,
oh, dude. And you know, one of the things that really stuck with me is, and it's an affirmation, you know, from someone that we truly respect. This is a cat who made it to the top levels of everything he's ever done. And he's always pivoted, and that interests me. I want to help people. And he went after it and he learned everything he could, and he's continuing to learn. And he's out there doing the public speaking stuff. And that's what it's all about, man. As soon as you stop learning, and as soon as you stop trying to learn what you're doing and what you're passionate about, and still, when you stop thinking about how can I do those things better as well, dude, call it a day. And this is how important it is, because it all links to your mental health. It was just a great message he has.
He summed it up, man. The constant student, right? There's too many guys that they hit that point. What am I going to learn? Right?
Yeah.
No way, dude. You should be the constant student, right? Always trying to refine your craft, refine whatever it is you're doing. And I'm going to tell you this, man, it's refreshing to hear it from other people, especially a guy like him, to go, yep, I'm always getting after it. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm not the only crazy guy here, right? But
dude, he was awesome.
He was digging the 1% better. You know, I mean,
yeah.
So hats off, man.
But yeah, man. All right, buddy. Great episode. You know, I don't know if we may make this into 2 pieces. I don't know, but
I'd probably do 2 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, or 50 minutes, whatever it, you know.
Yeah. And if you're listening or watching this, there's bonus content for the crew members that's going to be put on there. That's not going to be for the public. Sorry. You get to see and hear, you get to see and hear Pete talk about some stuff. We talk about some things in his personal life, his early career of football. Just a great episode, and can't wait to have him back. We definitely need to have him back.
Oh, dude. Yeah, without a doubt.
What a great dude. Hear what he's got going on. I'd like to hear about some of his political, you know, affiliations, and have a great conversation about that. And I also want to talk about some of the Olympics and some of that stuff, and the athletes and stuff it's just good stuff, dude. We need to go out there. If we're ever out there, we need to go visit him at that, the Mecca of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
He'll take us around and show us, but
Heck yeah.
he is getting after it. He is a fit dude, monster,
Mm-hmm.
a super heck nice guy, and he's out there helping people. Really respect.
Yeah,
him.
man.
All right,
Patrons,
buddy. Until we
patrons,
do,
stand by. The show continues as always for you guys. For the rest of you guys, if you're going, hey, what's this patron stuff all about? Swing by warhog.com, kellydefense.com. Quick, easy tabs to get to our OTR Patreon page. Become get up with like-minded people who are trying to become 1% better every single day. Or you can just go to patreon.com/on the range podcast. Bunch of different ways to get there. But yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. All right, go ahead and close it out, Rick.
You know it, man. You guys train hard, stay safe, and we'll see you on the range.
On the Range Podcast. On the Range.
All right, buddy. Patrons, crew members. Hope you enjoyed that episode. This is going to go out here soon. I know he wants to know when it's going up. We'll let him know.
Mhm.
But man, what a good dude. Go follow his stuff. Go follow his stuff. I know we're kind of like the broad mindset of being 1% better. We talk about what we do, but you talk about a guy who can dial it in. And there's several things I know we just didn't have time to get to, but like I said, we'll have him on again.
Oh, dude, we've got to, because there's so much. He's got so much stuff, right? Like
oh my gosh.
Man, we didn't even touch the tip of the iceberg. So
no. Yeah.
And
God,
I think
what a great episode.
I think something we need to start doing is when we have our guests on, kind of let the patrons know prior to, let the patrons submit questions, and we'll go back to the mailbag.
Yeah. We'll go back to the mailbag. No, that's a great idea.
We'll pick out a question from patron.
Yeah. Crew member mailbag for our guest.
That's it, man. We got to figure out how to get our let's reach
special effects. We'll come up with something. That's top notch.
Yeah.
So no, man, I hope everybody's been enjoying the content. I know Rick's got some stuff coming out. I'm going to try to make to the range this week. I know we got some rain going on right now. Not that I don't like training in the rain to shake out some stuff, but makes it difficult when you want to film some things. So
guys, I'll tell you straight up, my last range session, you got cheated on some stuff. Just because you got to keep the camera under it. I mean, you could hear the rain hitting the roof, but there's it is what it is. Just happens to be what you got. So
what would be a good thing for us, for the crew members, is have a person like Pete who, if someone has specific questions about what they're doing, maybe we can do some appearance swapping on the subscriber side. See if we can help out people and maybe talk about some other stuff that, he would like to have us talk about.
It'd be pretty cool. And you just opened up what freaking,
dude.
Again, epiphany, right? See if you'd be willing to jump on a Zoom call.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have to say the whole thing, open the window up. Hey guys, you got, 15 minutes, whatever he's willing to give with Pete. Go.
Yeah. Maybe he will. I can tell you right now, if no one shows up, I got a ton of questions. I'm selfish, bro.
Dude, if nobody shows up, it's called you're a fool. Right?
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
I know.
Yeah.
Dude, what a good dude. So,
yeah.
All right, crew members. Yeah, we probably have another live coming up here soon. Rick and I, maybe this weekend. Like to see it. Tonight, I might take some content in. You know what tonight is, don't you? Tonight is the 2024 Mama Kelly Defense Ghost Hunt outing.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're going to a place in Louisville, Kentucky that is like one of the top sought after haunted locations. She was able to secure it for a private show, just us. So I'm going to shake out some camera gear and do some stuff. Maybe we'll catch some ghouls and goblins.
Well, you need to go make sure you got your necklace of garlic. right? Put them silver bullets in your pistol. Swing by the church, get you a scoop of holy water in that squirt bottle, right?
Can't be too careful.
Don't forget your cross, man. Right?
What if I just eat a lot of garlic?
Yeah, you could do that.
Can I do that
Oh, dude.
for the benefit of everybody else?
Dude, what you do is put some garlic cloves in her pocket. She'll be like,
Can you imagine me showing up
Nope.
with a big thing of garlic around me and everybody else is looking at what the heck? What we got ourselves into?
Oh, man.
Oh boy. So I keep everybody posted. Might be some content out of that. Why not?
Dude,
If you
that
guys
should be a
are
good one.
interested in,
Yeah.
But
I
this
like
is great episode. Great episode. All right, pal. Let me shut this down.
Yeah,
and
buddy.
see how long this is going to take to upload. Should be pretty good. All right, patrons, take care, everybody.
Love you guys, man.